Hey everyone, welcome back to another out of spec detailing video here from Clear Detailing in Northern Colorado. Today we are checking out a brand new line of pressure washer accessories from the Rag Company. Launching today is their brand new Ultra H2O line of products featuring their new spray gun, foam cannon, spray wand, and pressure washer nozzles. In today's video, we're going to be getting a first look at these because I'm doing a full unboxing. I have not played with these. I have not seen them. I'm going to give you my off the cuff first impressions. We're going to go through and look at the build quality, look at all the materials used here, talk about all the features, talk about the ergonomics, and importantly, talk about how these actually stack up to what we already have in the detailing world. Welcome back to the channel. Let's jump into it. Well guys, thank you all so much for being here today. I'm super excited to dive into these. I love nerding out on detailing products, but detailing tools and accessories are always one of the things I really care about. So first things first, before we actually dive into the video here, for full transparency right up front, the Rag Company did send these out to me completely free of charge to make a review with. Now, as you guys should know, that doesn't change my review whatsoever. If these things are junk, I'm gonna tell you they're junk and I'm gonna tell you not to buy them. And in fact, if that's the case here, I'll tell you what I would recommend you purchase at the end of this video. On the flip side, if these things are absolutely awesome, I'm going to tell you to spend your hard-earned money on them. And if there is some area for improvement, I will also be sharing that within today's video. Now, knowing how much I like to talk, I'm going to chapterize this out for you guys. So the plan is I want to run through each one of these products. We're going to go through every little detail on each and every one of these. So I'll chapterize that out. Then I want to head over to a car and I actually want to use them and see how they actually work in a detailing sense here. Now, what I can tell you about the Ultra H2O line, even though I haven't seen these, just reading the back of the boxes here, trying to use and trying to be a very premium experience here. So you're going to hear a lot about stainless steel. They are jam-packing these things with features, which is really impressive, but I also want to see how that actually plays into the real world. So my hope here is they've talked to detailers, they've watched videos on YouTube, they've heard me, they've heard Keeve complain about all the annoyances with foam cannons, pressure washer guns, all of that fun stuff, and hopefully this is a good first start. Now, importantly, I actually saw most of these products out at SEMA 2025, so I have seen kind of the overall concept of the brand. I haven't seen these in final production, so I'm really excited to dive into it. So I think first things first, I want to start off with the spray gun. This to me is one of the most important things to have in your detailing arsenal. We've been talking a lot about the cheap versions on Amazon. You guys know I used to be a crazy MTM SGS 35 Aqualine guy, 140 bucks for a spray gun. This bad boy retailing right at 79 bucks. So let's crack this open. Let's see what's inside. We'll go through all of the fun features, break all the seals on here, and let's see what's what here. So as we open the box, you can see all the kind of features that they're talking about here, but I really don't care too much about that because we'll talk about them here in a second. So I just got my first look at this, first impressions. Guys, that is a quality looking pressure washer gun. So with that $79, you get the pressure washer gun. You have a 3/8 to M22 15mm fitting here, as well as a 14mm fitting. Both of these in full stainless steel here. So if you've got a Ryobi, Greenworks, big box store pressure washer that you're utilizing that stock hose on it, you're going to be able to set this up. You're going to be good to go here. We've also got some Teflon tape down here, and I would assume, yep, these are some spare O-rings. So we'll talk about where those also go. But the big thing here, let's talk about the gun. And wow, first impressions, folks. This thing is hefty. It feels impressively hefty here. So first thing, yeah, wow, really smooth trigger on it. As you guys can see here, this is the launch edition version. The only difference, if you're getting the standard bundle, this titanium piece here, as well as here, will be black plastic. At least that's what the guys from the Rag Company tell me, which I would assume that's actually true. I'm gonna tell you straight off the bat here, no need to spend extra money for this. I mean, if you want to, great. I think it's $16 extra, but just for this, not necessarily sold on that. But looking at this pressure washer gun, one of the first things that stands out to me is actually the gray housing on here. Pretty much all pressure washer guns made out of plastic. I really like the material they've actually used here. Now they say this is very drop resistant on here, but it is very smooth and feels very robust. The other thing I immediately noticed with this gun it feels very slim, very slender in the hand. Second thing I noticed, which they are saying this is a benefit or a feature of this, is rubberized grip. So you have it here on the back side, actually inside here on the actual handle, and then actually even as well on your trigger. Now personally, when you pick this thing up, that's awesome. But I will also tell you, and we're going to see if this is truly the case later on in the video, I have used the active pressure washer gun, which I personally think is one of the worst pressure washer guns out there for ergonomics. But number two big reason is for full rubberized grips on it. The issue is it feels great like this until you get your hands wet, and then you start washing a car, dunking your hand in a bucket. Now you have soap all over your hands. You go to grab this and it's like a frickin' slick and slide. So that I'm curious to see how this actually feels on this particular gun. One of the big things here, as I talked about earlier on though, stainless steel. So we have mostly stainless steel internals, basically this shaft here, this shaft down here. The only thing that is not stainless steel on the internals of this gun is actually this elbow here, which is actually made out of steel. They have gone so far even to all of these back screws here, fully stainless steel. So up front here, we have a 1/4 inch quick disconnect, but importantly, this is a push to lock quick disconnect. On the bottom here, we actually have an outboard stainless steel swivel, which I will say does feel nice. Now, we'll talk about here in a couple of seconds about some other pressure washer guns, and we'll see how these actually feel. Now, the other important thing that they have done here is given you somewhere to actually put your pressure washer tips. So let's say you are doing a foam cannon and you are spraying down the car, you set that down, your pressure washer tip is always right here and ready to go straight into the gun. The cool thing they've done here is whether you're left-handed, whether you're right-handed, this can go in on both sides. Now, a part of this little pack here that they give you is actually another friction grommet here, which actually is right inside this gun. So you can actually take this apart, replace that if it ever wears out, if these start to become loose. But I gotta say, the actuation there feels very, very nice. It would be kind of cool, I guess, if you could fit 2 in there, but I think at the end of the day, 1 is probably fine. Now, I am actually a guy who uses 2 different pressure washer tips. So I like to use a 25 degree for right after a pre-wash for rinsing down wheels, suspension, engine bays, to keep that stream a little bit more focused. And then my absolute final rinse, I'll go to a 40 degree as well. So that's pretty darn cool to check out. Now, the other interesting thing they have done with this is this little button here. And this button is actually a trigger lock. Now, I have some mixed feelings on this, and I'm sure a lot of you will too. And one of the cool things they have engineered with this is to have the ability to completely take it out. So what you would actually do with that, undo the entire backside of this and pull this whole assembly out, and then you never have to worry about a trigger lock again. Now, why would we be worried about a trigger lock? Well, the whole concept behind that is the accidental, hey, I'm washing a car, it gets stuck on this, and now the wand's out of my hand and floating around like one of those dealership guys that are doing their thing there. So that is a concern, but it's great that they have thought about that to be able to take it out. Now, the actuation on this is actually pretty nice. They also thought about how this is. It is a 2-handed operation. For me, not necessarily ideal, clearly, as you can see, but how you actually put this in, you pull this trigger, you push this button up, it's gonna go right to that stop, and now it is fully on, and it will just continue to go and go and go. Now, they say this is for anti-fatigue. I personally have never been in a point where I'm washing cars all day long where I'm like, wow, holding this trigger is super hard to do. But I do think, importantly here, with how nice this actuation is and how little force it takes to actually hold this, I don't think it's gonna be an issue. But again, just wanna showcase to you here, this is how you actually turn it off. Once it's in that locked position, pull it, good to go. It also has a trigger stop here. This is not something a lot of people use, and importantly, interesting, okay, yeah, it just gets caught on the rubber there, but if you do ever need to lock that out, you do have the ability to do so there. I wanna check out the quick disconnect up here, our 1/4 inch, where we're gonna put our pressure washer nozzles. Now, they have gone for a fully knurled finish on here, which actually does feel very nice, but I'm curious to see how these tips, okay, interesting. So, I don't know if you guys can hear that or kind of see that. If you get it slightly crooked in here, you can see there's actually quite a bit of play. And if I just push this in here, it goes to like a first lock and you gotta kind of force it through it. I will say, not the smoothest actuation out there. Now, I actually want to bring up here my current favorite pressure washer gun. This is the Brug's Pro Swivel V2. And in my opinion, one of the best push to lock quick disconnects on the market. So let's see how these feel comparatively. Not even close. This is 10 times better. Now you can see there is a little wobble in here, and I just press that straight through. It is the smoothest actuation ever. Feels very, very nice. Where this, again, it's definitely got a little bit of a clunkiness unless you get it perfectly straight in there, but even there I felt it kind of scrape on there. So that could be the case. This is a brand new gun here, but we'll be curious to see how this ends up over time. Now, also talking about these down here are swivels. Swivels are super important. If you don't have a swivel on a pressure washer gun, what are you even doing? Because this is going to help cable management tenfold. It is really, really important. Now, I actually used to be this guy here, MTM SGS 35 Aqualine. This was my pressure washer gun. You can see fully stainless steel outboard quick connect here with the swivel on it. Now, I used to think this was totally fine until I got this. And this is a internal ball bearing, fully stainless steel quick disconnect on here, and it is butter smooth. And importantly, once you actually get pressure on the line, this still has full rotation. So I'll be curious to see how this actually feels. We've got a couple different guns here, so we can actually play around with the differences between them. Now, the other important thing here, and again, this is highly, highly subjective on pressure washer guns, is the actual angle of the entirety of the gun here. Let me explain a little bit. So this is a active pressure washer gun. And as you can see, as I hold this straight out, where's my nozzle going? It's shooting up. Now what I have to do is actually turn this down. This is very similar to the MTM SG28. Now again, like I said, I prefer the 35 version. And as I hold these two side by side here, if I get these level, you can actually see that difference. Now it might not seem like all that much difference to you guys on camera, but I'm telling you, using these for years, this has always been my preferred method. Straight out, you can see it goes straight towards the car. This, I'm aiming at the ceiling here, and it makes a big difference just having to crane that down. And what that also does is creates more tension on the hose, and it makes it heavier overall. So I'm glad to see they went pretty much identical to the SGS 35 here. It is absolutely identical to that. Importantly though, for those of you who has always said these are too thick for you, this again, a really, really nice slim line. So I think they have done a good job here. My only concerns are this push to lock quick disconnect, really not the smoothest in the industry, and this not being an internal ball bearing swivel. Again, we'll hook this up and see how it actually is, but I think this is a very, very good start. So next thing I want to check out here is the Ultra H2O foam cannon. Now, as I pick up the back of this, the features have me very intrigued. Full stainless steel internals, impact resistant plastic, multi-adjustment foam delivery, detent click adjusters, that's a big deal. Quarter turn lid, okay, love that. Wide mouth HDPE bottle. This could be pretty awesome here, folks. So the big thing with this, 69 bucks. So as I'm thinking about this, not on the crazy expensive side of foam cannons, but also not on the super cheap side. Now, a lot of you know really what you're paying for in foam cannons is features and overall material quality. So I'm curious to see how they actually did here. So very similar unpackaging here to the actual spray gun. We've got all of our features right up top here. We've got our head and our actual bottle. So first things first, I want to start off on the actual head. And man, it feels really hefty. Again, fully stainless steel internals, nothing else. Fully stainless steel. I freaking love that. Very, very wide mouth bottle, quarter turn. Be curious to see how this actually feels. Importantly, rubber seal on here. So that's going to hopefully, if you ever knock this thing over, drop it. It's going to keep it from leaking. If you ever have this thing upside down, it's not going to leak on you. Absolutely love that. Back here, we have our 1/4 inch quick disconnect that's going to go directly into the gun there. And then it looks like we have some adjusters. Now, I still to this day do not understand why in 2026, companies are still manufacturing the heads of these with click adjusters on them to dilute your soap differently. These things, guys, are fully cranked. Every single time I use them, I never am going down. Do that with your dilution of soap. But I want to see how these actually feel. That's heaven. Dude, that's one of the best clickers I've ever felt. I mean, this is my new fidget spinner. I'm just gonna take this home before bed, just sit here. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, folks. So I'm curious to see this whole front head up here. So we should be able to, dude, they have really, really thought about this. So going from a straight vertical to horizontal fan here, clicks. So there's essentially 3 different ones there. Yep. So top dead center, 1, 2, you're horizontal. Absolutely love that. The reason being is these are tight enough, this is never going to spin on you. So I'm putting in some decent force there. Feels fantastic. Now let's hope it's the same thing on the actual spray pattern. So more of a jet, or open up that fan a little bit. Amazing. I'm in love with this. I already absolutely love that. Now I will say there is a little play in this, so I would like to see that tightened up a little bit. If this was more like the back one here, I mean, that is perfection. This one's got a little play in it. I'd be curious to see, this one's a lot lighter, if over time by using this, if it would actually get moved around a little bit. I'm thinking potentially so. But the cool thing is here, once you start to know this foam cannon, you know pretty much every time I need it, you put it straight back up to top dead center, you go 1, 2, 3, whatever it actually is, and you have great detents inside there. So this is a really, really, really good start there, folks. I am very impressed by it. Now, taking out the bottle here, I have some concerns already. Underneath here, we have another O-ring for the bottom of this, and it looks like we have 2 different size O-rings, so this is going to be fully rebuildable. They do not give you an extra filter. I'm not sure if that's going to be something they're going to sell separately, but I do not see a filter in here. Looks like we've got a 1.1 millimeter orifice in our little baggie, and yep, 1.25 actually pre-installed, which is the typical size. Now, here on my AR635, I need a 1.65 millimeter to not overamp my machine. You'll be curious to check that out. So first things first, let's talk about this dip tube. So for me, one good thing, weighted ball at the bottom. So that's great to pick up all the solution. This looks to be, again, stainless steel. Does have some plastic down here. Totally fine with that. Now, looking at the actual nipple in here, we do have some grooves on it, which is going to keep this from falling off. What foam cannon did I just review recently? The Ethos foam cannon, if I remember off the top of my head. It was a MJJC style one, and you would literally go to, you know, shake up your bottle and the dip tube would fall off. And it's like, guys, come on here. So having that on there is really, really nice. So I'm curious to see, okay, first we got to have a discussion here, folks. So we have these 4 notches in this, and that is going to be what is going to allow this to quick disconnect. The molding on this is utter garbage. We have plastic hanging off all of this. So I think this might even be the case is I'm going to have to come in here with a razor blade. That is not what I expect out of a $79 foam cannon. That is not good. And I have a feeling what this is going to do is not let this head lock on properly, and it's going to feel very, very awkward. So let's feel how this actually is here. I do love the wide mouth. Okay. Another thing I absolutely despise. So as I just turn this, now I'm a little bit of an animal being one-handed here. I don't hold it here to tighten it down. I use the actual head of this to tighten it down. I see a lot of you do this as well. It just turned on me. This is already loose. So I think that's the case of where that nipple was on the inside with our weighted tube. I'm gonna have to crank that down and tighten it. That should be straight out of the box like that. But as I put this on here, I can tell you, look at how that thing is sitting. It's not going on there properly. So I do a quarter turn, and man, do you have to give it some pressure. Yeah, that's all in the crappy molding, guys. That needs to be better for a $80 foam cannon or $70 foam cannon. I am underwhelmed by that. Don't love that. Now, let's talk about the actual bottle here. First things first, we do have very, very big sight lines here, 1,000 milliliters, 800, 600, 400, 200, everything in between. We've got ounces on here as well. I will say my only problem with this is too dark. I like something that is lighter. I even prefer clear bottles, something like the Armor Detail Supply Drift Foam Cannon. You can tell how much solution you actually have in it. Now, this is a foam cannon that is $44.99. And I will already tell you guys, quick disconnect on this is, for me, one of the things that would make me choose this over the H2O line. So that is a little bit of a shame there. Dang, guys. So I do want to check out the bottle here and see how it actually sits once we get this on. Okay, it's kind of getting a little bit better, but man, it is really, really tight to actually turn that. So what they have actually done down here, this is a problem on a lot of foam cannon bottles. You can see this molding line here. A lot of the times these get off. What they have done here is put these 3 nipples, I guess is the best way to describe these, on here, and hopefully that's going to make it not tip, and they do exactly the opposite. Bummer. That's a bummer for me. So yeah, don't love that. I mean, you can see the ADS foam cannon here, nothing. You can see the Griot's Garage Boss foam cannon here, nothing. Now, this is a $100 foam cannon, fully stainless steel internals, no quick disconnect on it. And I will say the detents on this, way better. But guys, you have to figure out the molding on these bottles. That is a huge, huge bummer for me. So overall, I love most of this foam cannon. This whole situation, the head turning, the actual molding on these, I think is a problemo. And I think it's going to be the same thing as the MTM PF22 wide mouths. These are going to come loose over time because of the absolute crap molding. And I can see all that plastic coming off now. So that's a little bit of a shame. Definitely a letdown from the spray gun over here. So definitely not perfect yet on the Ultra H2O line. Next accessory I want to check out is the Ultra H2O spray wand, commonly known as a lance. Now, I will personally tell you, I'm not a big lance guy, so I'm just going to look at the overall ergonomics of this, the materials, and I got to be totally honest with you, I was kind of shocked on the price of this, given that this has full stainless steel core on it. This has push-to-lock stainless steel quick disconnects on it. This has stainless steel quick disconnect on the other side, has rubberized grip on it, and is 22 inches long. That seems to be pretty impressive because this retails at 39 bucks. Now, I'm not often searching for wands or lances, but to me, that actually seems pretty inexpensive. Now, I also have an active lance here that I'll kind of compare back and forth, which I believe retails at 59 bucks. So this coming in cheaper, higher quality materials seems intriguing. So let's crack this bad boy open here. So pretty much identical packaging throughout. Love the continuity throughout here. So first things first, little O-rings to replace it. I love that they include those. And here we have our wand slash lance. And I got to tell you guys, the heft on this feels very nice. I am shocked they are selling this for 39 bucks. Again, this entire core here, completely stainless steel. Stainless steel push to lock quick disconnect. Curious to see if this one feels any different. Actually felt a little smoother. Let's get it. Nope, does the same thing. Yeah, guys, just reach out to whoever makes all of the made in China Amazon ones, the push to locks. They are 10 times better than us. I'm sorry to say it. I love the knurled finish on this. Just doesn't feel quite as nice. Now, on the back side of this, we have our 1/4 inch quick disconnect, which is going to go directly into our gun. You can also see we have quite a large shaft on here. Can't believe I'm at the point where I'm talking about shafts on YouTube. Apologies to my wife. Editor, maybe take that out. I'm the editor. Let's leave it in. But this actually feels nice for actually gripping this. You can see we've got the rubberized grips on here. I will actually say the rubberized grips feel noticeably worse than the actual gun. Those felt a lot softer. These are more of a hard version of that, and seemingly 2 hand placements on this, so quite interesting. The plastics also as well, this one's a little bit dirty on that end. I'm gonna wipe that off, but does feel similar to the pressure washer gun. I wouldn't say it's very much any different whatsoever. Now, I am curious, number one, to see how this looks on this, but to feel it overall. So once that's in there, man, there is there's a lot of weight on that. And I'm also feeling, can you hear that? That doesn't, oh. Okay, so I think this might have been a detriment to their want and need for quality here of making this thing so heavy. It is super nose heavy. And this, guys, that is not great. I really, really don't love that. But again, 39 bucks here actually seems pretty darn nice. I'm not trying to, sway you to buy this or not buy this. I'm just, thinking out loud here. Now, I also have here the active line of pressure washer lances here. Now, importantly, this is actually the one that comes in the Active 2.0 bundle. You can see that here by the brass quick disconnect. Now, their premium version of this, or the one you buy off the website separately, actually comes with stainless steel quick disconnects. Importantly, not push to lock up here, but it also retails at 59 bucks. I will tell you, it is noticeably lighter than the Rag Company version over there. So as we push this in, I guess you do still have a little, but it is far less weight out on the nose of that. So I'd be curious over time, if you're washing a ton of big trucks, how much worse that would be for an extended period of time. The weight is a very much substantial difference. You do get an extra inch. Everybody knows adding some inches here is always the best thing, right? One as long as possible. I don't know what we're doing here. I will also notice the angle on this is quite different. Just comparing these side by side, pretty interesting to note there. Honestly though, this feels for 39 bucks really, really impressive. So again, the weight is my only concern here, but overall guys, gotta say, it feels like a very, very high quality unit there. Saving the littlest for last here, we have the Rag Company pressure washer nozzle here. So fully stainless steel construction inside of here, rubber tips on this. I'll give some opinions on it, of course, as we unbox this. Now, these retail at 17 bucks. Currently, they're only selling these in a 40-degree size in a 3.0, 4.0, and 5.0 orifice. So importantly for me, if you have a huge high flow pressure washer like this, you don't have the option for that yet. Now, they said there's more sizes coming out late 2026, early 2027. I would highly encourage them to come out with a 25-degree and do half steps as well. I think it's really important to very much dial in your pressure washer. I don't want this to be kind of the Achilles heel, if you will. So let's cut this bad boy open. Looking at this here, fully stainless steel core. Pretty much looks like the exact same pressure washer tip inside of here that pretty much everybody else uses. I do like how short this actually is. So I'm curious to see, what does this actually look like on the gun? That pushes together nicely. See at an angle, same thing. Interesting. But overall, that feels like a pretty nice size. This is a little bit longer than most there, you will notice. And it will go right in here on your actual gun as well. Now, this is to the point where it feels kind of awkward, I would say. But again, feels very nice on the actual gun there. So at 17 bucks, I gotta say, seems like a pretty reasonable value for me. Overall, I would say I've used these before. This is actually one from MTM, and I have got the actual core in here to the right size. This is a 6.5 25-degree orifice for my AR-635. One thing I like though is how short this one actually is. And on MTM, I gotta say, don't love these because of how hard the actual rubber is. They did a really nice job at the Rag Company making this very nice, slick, and soft. Now, the whole concept behind these tips is working around vehicles, and specifically, I would say, working in wheel arches. So when you're spraying in wheel arches, instead of having, plastic and or metal here, potentially touching paint, this hopefully will omit some of that. Now, personally, I have been detailing for 12 years. I've never touched a pressure washer tip to the paint. Be cautious of it. Other people think these are actually for if you accidentally don't get this connected, this becomes a missile at the car. The problem with that is how these are basically weighted is they are very back heavy, which causes these to spin. So you essentially, if this does come out of the gun, have a 50-50 chance of smoking it with the rubberized side, which will take some brunt, or 50% side with hitting it with an even heavier stainless steel core compared to something like this. So these, for me, I'm not the largest fan of it. You might be a fan of it. I think the price point's good here. The build quality, everything feels great. We just need more sizes. We need half sizes, and we need multiple degrees, specifically 25 in all of those above. So with that, let's head over to the car, play around with some foam cannons, see how these feel in action, and of course, see how those rubber grips are. So first things first, for a little bit of testing consumer advice here, I want to check out this, the new Ultra H2O gun versus the Bruggs Pro Swivel V2 and MTM SGS 35, how it pertains to an actual swivel here. So with this actually off in the gun, feels pretty nice. Very, very smooth throughout. You can see, this is always how we test how swivelly they are. It does feel nice. I do feel not quite as smooth as the Brugs here, so I definitely think we're gonna feel a big difference between these for sure. Yeah, it's not even close. Absolutely not even close here. I mean, this is the smoothest ball bearing humanly possible here. Now, I also want to compare it to an MTM SGS 35 Aqualine. Again, $142 gun, I think this is here. Swivel feels absolutely not even close to the Ultra. You can see I can't even swivel this. So if you have an MTM gun, this is a big upgrade over the MTM gun going to the Ultra version. Now, one thing I want to do here is do this in steps. So I want to turn on the water here. We'll get the water out of this, and I want to feel the swivel with a little bit of water pressure on it. Honestly, feels about the same. No complaints there whatsoever. Let's go to on here. So one thing I want to do, I hate that quick disconnect, folks. I really don't like that. As this has full pressure on it, you can still see I can retain all my swivel there. Now, how does it feel when the gun's on? Not as great. I'm not blown away with that. Again, I think this is going to be better than the MTM line here, but yeah, I mean, there's just better stuff on the market in terms of swivels for cheaper. So that is a little bit of a shame to me. So let's come over here to the Brugs just so you guys can see and feel and hear differences. So popping that out here, boom, directly in, water on, water spray. Dude, it's not even freaking close. It's not even close. So straight on now, you guys can see. Yeah. So spraying this, not even in the same league. I mean, not even sort of close there, folks. So I just want to show you though, also having the MTM gun here, what that looks like with full pressure on this, because I know a lot of people love these guns. I used to as well. Turn that on. Grab the tip over here. Man, I will also tell you what a nice thing it is to have push to lock quick disconnects. So as you can see, pressure on now, I am really having to move that, and you can see, look at the hose turn as it goes there. Yeah, not great. So as I'm doing this, not even close, folks. So again, I will tell you the Ultra gun does have a better swivel overall from an MTM gun. That does feel like an upgrade. But if you are used to a ball bearing swivel internally like this, it's not even freaking remotely close. So would like to see some improvements there for sure on both the quick disconnects on the gun. Overall though, guys, I think this thing feels pretty freaking awesome. All right, we're getting into the weeds here of product testing, but I think this is an important thing. So I've mixed up a bucket of Coach Kimmy GSF here, pretty slick overall soap, like you'd be hand washing your car. And the thing I want to check out here is how slick the rubber actually feels. So I'm going to dunk my hand in here, get nice bunch of suds and everything like I just washed the car, you know, get that off of your hands. Now I'm going to come back and grab this, and I can tell you it's definitely a little on the slick side. It is not to the point of being so slick that it is as bad as the active version, but I will tell you all of this plastic up here feels noticeably better in the hand versus the rubber here. The rubber is definitely slick. Now, is that the end of the world? No, but it is one of those things that I understand they're trying to put this in as a feature. For me, it's not a feature, especially when you wear gloves a lot. This is going to get worse. When you're cleaning wheels, you get wheel cleaner, tire cleaner all over your hand. That's even slicker than stuff like this is. This over time is going to become very slick. I mean, we can even dunk this whole ripper in here, get this nice and sudsy. And I can tell you, it is way slicker than this kind of textured plastic up here, or smoothish textured plastic actually is. So that's a little bit of a bummer to me for sure. That's just one of those things, man. Should have done a little bit more research on that. Should have done one of each. Yeah, a little bit of a shame there. So let's head over and actually test out some foam cannon action. So I wanted to insert this little clip here before we got into the foam cannon, because I was filling up this bottle here to show you guys how amazing the snow foam is on this and how awesome of a foam cannon this was. And this proves my point perfectly. Some more dialing in needs to happen. So here's our bottle here, guys. I would love for you to tell me how much water is actually in here so I can know how much soap I need to put in here. Well, you can't frickin' tell. That's because the bottle is far too dark on here. Now, a lot of you might say, Colton, I can see your Griot's Boss foam cannon up there, clearly purple. I can easily see that. Understand, guys, not all soaps are colored. A lot of pre-washes I use, very lightly yellow colored. In fact, my favorite soap out there for doing maintenance washes, CarPro Reset, completely colorless. Here's the crazy thing. Look at this Griot's Boss foam cannon. I can see exactly how much solution is in it. I have no idea how much soap or water is actually in this. These guys are the little things that make up to an amazing product, and skipping little steps like this by either not putting a sight glass on here, not thinking about the overall bottle and how the end user is going to use it, and just trying to make it look pretty and aesthetic is what drives me nuts. So that to me, massive fail. For our foam cannon test here, we're going to be utilizing Quiver Rogue. This actually won the best overall car shampoo out there for foaming, great slickness, this, that, and the other in one of my recent tests. Now, if you guys know anything about AR635s, foam cannons, orifices, all that fun stuff, we've struggled to get amazing foam out of not only foam cannons in general, and it's pretty crazy. Some foam cannons work totally fine, some don't. Now, importantly, the Griot's Boss Garage foam cannon back here is my favorite on these super high flow machines with a 1.65 millimeter orifice. Now, this is from MJJC. I just want to do this because it's going to showcase, no matter what, how well it's going to do on a high flow unit, but importantly, it's just going to be as good on a lower flow unit. So first things first, let's start off with the Rag Company Ultra foam cannon here. So we've got it hooked up. Now, being that this solution is orange, yes, you can clearly see it. I'm curious if I tip this over, no leaking whatsoever. Big thumbs up for me there. So let's foam this down and check out how the foam is. It's all you ever need, folks. So again, that is 2 ounces of Quiver Rogue in there, and that looks utter perfection. Again, high flow units, if you know anything about them, to get snow foam like this can be really tricky, down to that soap solution, foam cannons, the Venturi, all of that stuff. So I do like the foam cannon. Don't get me wrong, I really do. There is just such these small little things that make up to a great product. And you know, the 1/4 inch quick connect here, I'm a little bit disappointed with. I mean, if we're going, you know, from here, okay, it's getting a little smoother. I will say it is getting smoother. I've had this thing on and off a few times. It's just a little awkward. It's not my perfect one. I still think the ADS one is better. Some of the MJJC quick disconnects are better. I think they could learn a thing or two from that. But again, really do love the wide mouth opening. Now, I want to give this a quick rinse with the gun, just give you some feedback here. Again, gun to gun, they're not going to have any performance difference. It's all on form factor and style. Gun feels great, guys. I'm super pleased with the gun. Very, very pleased. So just want to show you side by side what a $100 foam cannon, same orifice, same exact solution looks like. Basically exactly the same. So I gotta say, this foam cannon, folks, I really do like it. I think it's very, very close here. I think it's a decent price point. Again, just some of those small little things, especially how the molding is on the actual 1/4 inch, I hope to see get better. Then at that point, I'd probably say, you know what, yeah, it's totally fine. I think a lot of you can live without seeing in here, but it's just one of those things. I mean, you just look at these side by side. It's so much easier to see this. And even using a clear solution, something like CarPro Reset, you can actually see it in here. You can't see it in this at all. So that's a little bit of a shame, but overall, pretty darn good. So last thing I just want to showcase on camera here is our actual wand. So we'll push lock this in here. We'll pull our tip out of our actual gun. We'll push lock that in there, and let's see how this thing feels. So interestingly, even under pressure, I can feel this moving side to side. That's a little bit of a bummer. I will say the weight, once you actually have the hose on the back of this, actually kind of counterbalances. So it does feel, you know, decently, the weight's, you know, more towards the back where the actual gun is here. So I would say probably not as much of an issue as I said it was on the actual bench. That's why I like to actually do testing with this. So let me get this all dried up here and let me give you some final thoughts. Well guys, if you've made it to this point in the video, first off, I really appreciate you. I always know these videos are long, but the reason I make these videos long is I want to pack them with information and you to come out of these videos as informed as possible. Now, you can go watch Instagram and watch a 30-second reel on all of these. Somebody is going to tell you these are the best thing ever. Here's my affiliate link down in the description below. That's great. I don't like to do content like that. I like doing content like this, breaking down things, and I wanted to do this by unboxing these products, giving you my true first impressions, the things that I think about anytime I'm interacting with something in the pressure washer accessory space. Now, overall, guys, I gotta say, I'm very impressed with the line. I don't want you to take my criticisms as they did a poor job here. I think they are 95% of the way there. What I'm really impressed by is, I think number one, overall reasonable price points here, given the overall quality of generally the entire line of products here. I really think these are competitive prices. They are definitely more premium, more elevated, but then again, you look at all the premium materials they're putting into these and thinking through all the features. These things are really, really feature packed. And again, they're like 95% there. The hard part is that last 5% is so hard to get right. And I'll be totally honest with you, there's not a perfect product out there. There's always small little nuances and things I'd like to take and grab and make my own. Maybe someday I'll do that. Probably not right now. But I do think they did an overall very, very good job. So it would be my impression that if you picked up a line of these products, if you got all four of them, if you got just foam cannon, just the gun, whatever the heck you got, I think you're going to be very, very pleased with it. And again, I do think the overall value here is pretty darn exceptional. The small nuances here, I think, are just the rag company is going to have to learn a little bit. They're going to see reviews like this. They're going to see things break out in the field. They're going to adapt. So I'm hoping to see version 2 of these small little refinements really start bringing that up close to amazingly dialed in. They're really close though, guys, really, really close. And I got to give them, you know, the praise for the first line of products they're doing in this space. They nailed a lot of the big, big, heavy points here. So I'm coming out of this impressed, absolutely impressed, with the caveat of some of these things need to be improved, as we talked about through this video. So I do want to share with you, there are 2 ways to actually purchase these products. I don't think I actually touched on this in the beginning of the video. You can purchase these as bundles, or you can purchase the products separately. Now, the bundle we have here is technically their launch edition bundle. The only difference of the launch edition to the standard bundle is the special edition gun. Now, you actually have to order that bundle to get this gun. You can't buy it separately. That set retails right at $200. It's $184 for the standard kit for everything here you see in front of me today. I personally would probably pick and choose what I like and then maybe add to my line instead of buying all at once. But great job to the rag company. I have to give them a big shout out for giving me first access to be able to publish a video for you guys on launch day. So I've got to head home. I've got to get this edited. I'm shooting this the night before it goes live. Typical busy life as a content creator and running a full-time professional shop. Thank you all so much for staying with me on this video. We'll see you in the next one soon. Bye-bye.